video is being shown to you under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, education, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Hit the like button. Let's go.
What's up? What's up? What's up? It is your girl Survivor Speaks, and I am back with another video. I'm not sure if you guys can hear me because I'm having trouble hearing myself. Just give me 1 second. Yeah. So not sure if I can if you guys can hear. Oh, I know how to figure that out. Give me 1 second. So okay. So it sounds like the audio is fine. All right, so the audio seems to be fine. What's up? How are you guys doing on this great Sunday? Um, I'm doing well on this Sunday, but I'm kind of mad that as soon as you get up in the morning and just do a couple things, the day is gone already. But I digress. So today's show, we're going to be looking at the dishonorable ex-judge Lance Mason. The dishonorable ex-judge Lance Mason is a disgrace to humans and a danger to people everywhere. This man was a judge at one point and was in charge of putting people away when he definitely needed to be put away himself. And now that we all know that he is where he needs to be, the streets are a little safer with him not being on them. And we like to thank the courts for that. This judge, it has disgraced all other judges, and now he can be where he needs to be, where he is. He can do whatever he needs to do behind the wall. As I do these rewinds, I'm not sorry about saying that. I hope that these sissies find their Bubba in jail. You have to be um, you have to be extra special, to hurt women, and not just hurt women, to hurt women in front of children. You have to be extra special to engage in behavior like that. But as I stated, he's where he needs to be, and he does not need to be let out anytime soon. Which I don't think he has the ability to be let out of soon. Give me 1 second. I'm just trying to do something here. All right. So I'm just trying to do something here. I don't have a mod right now, but Nightbot will be in the chat momentarily, doing what he does. Okay. So Nightbot will be in the chat momentarily doing what he does, fighting with the people, fighting with the audience, and all that type of jazz. So today we're streaming on YouTube, and we're over on Twitter streaming as well. And I'm looking for something that I'm looking for something that I put together and I cannot find it. It has bothered me because what did I do with it, girl? Where? I don't even remember where I put it. Hold on a second. Yeah, it's not on here. I don't even remember what I did with it. I am not kidding. I'm not kidding. I don't remember what I did with. I don't understand, girl. What is going on? What? Okay, I don't know what I did with what I'm looking for, but nonetheless, we're going to be talking about Lance Mason. And on the first half of the video, Lance Mason, we're going to watch a short clip because I don't know why. I know I watched it when this was going on, and I'm not sure what happened to the video. I could not find it. But the first video that we are going to watch is when Lance Mason um, assaulted his wife, Aisha Fraser, because they were temporarily separated. She was trying to be supportive of him. His mom had passed away. And so she went to the funeral with his mom, with him to pay his respects to his mom. And on the way home, they were having a conversation and she asked him, she told him that she would consider getting back with him if um, he was willing to go to therapy. This enraged him, and he began to assault her in front of his two children that were in the car as well. Um, and he continuously banged her head over and over on the dashboard. Um, Luckily, she was able to jump out of the car at some point. Some good Samaritans let her get into their car, and she was telling them, what happened. She needed her girls out of the car with him because she was scared because she didn't know what he was going to do with her children. So of course she was, scared. She had to have multiple surgeries, and so I'm going to show you the video from when they arrested this nut, um, because he went home as if nothing happened after she was able to get away. And so the next day they showed up to his house to arrest him. And here is the video from that. Okay, I'm going to get right into that. Let me just get it over here. Okay, so the video was only 7 minutes. Let me just get it queued up to the right. Okay, so now it's in the right format and order or whatever you want to call it. Give me one moment just to start playing the video.
What's happening? Sam 13 Sam 14. I was going to kill myself, but Sam 14, go. Brian, you're going to try that there. I can handle the both sectors if you need to.
Where's the weapons? There's weapons. I have a safe that I opened up so you can get to it.
I copy.
Thanks, guns.
We have him with us. He's in custody. No injuries that we can see.
There's a gun on my bed, too.
Okay.
Can you repeat that another thousand?
She still wants to head up there.
How is she?
Where is she?
That's my sister.
Okay.
How's my wife?
What do you mean, how's your wife? Where was wife?
She jumped out the car. She's okay. She's okay. All right.
Okay. I know nothing of that.
Districts and see if they've had any shootings
Come on over here.
in 2 hours.
You know what? We'll put him in this is Cleveland, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to put him in my car. That way,
Okay,
you guys can get a
yeah,
break off.
yeah,
You'll be okay. Okay, Mr. Mason, go to second car, okay?
Sam 13,
I'm glad you didn't.
You're waiting for the guy to stop.
for a lot of reasons.
He's back in X-ray. We're in the room. We're just talking to the security.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, have a check also.
That's good.
If there's been any kind of robberies or maybe or somebody, Warrensville, Cleveland, that kind of thing.
Okay, hold on, Mr. Mason. I'm going to double lock these. You're a pretty big fella now. They're going to grind your wrist down if they're not.
Security sounds like he's had a couple different stories already. Radio, did you copy that?
I'm sorry. You know, your watch is now. Is that better?
I'm not it. I'll let you know if I...
Well, we didn't think you would. Have a seat, please.
1014, believe advised, the house is clear, but we did find the assault rifle and bandolier.
Which one?
Ammo in the attic.
You know what? Do this. Turn around and sit down. And now slide back. It's, you know, I don't know who in the world ordered these police cars, but I don't know, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't a police officer. Okay, watch up, Mr. Mason, you need this. All right, why don't you go have a seat? It's raining.
Yeah, how'd you guys? Did we call
Pretty
you?
late.
No, our dispatcher gave it out. There's a guy who kicked everybody out of the house. He's got a gun in the house. He's threatening suicide. And then we get,
Got you. We were coming over because he committed domestic violence against the
Sorry, what did you say?
city
oh,
and lumped her up.
Just, get the hell up there, Troy. Ask
what now?
She's off the Hillcrest.
Okay,
we got him in
that
custody.
explains that.
So that's why
Okay.
all the blood is on his shirt.
Okay, now we agree with this. Okay, we're not going to head up to Ashland.
So that's why we were coming here to arrest him for domestic.
Okay,
And then we see you guys here. We didn't know
Yeah.
that.
we got a call for a guy threatening suicide, and he kicked everybody out of the house. Okay, all right.
All right, so that is the video. That is the video.
Hi, how are you?
Hold on. So now it's done switched to another video. Excuse me. I didn't. Okay. So yeah. So that is the video of him getting arrested. If you can hear him saying he was going to unalive himself. I guess that's to garner some sympathy. I'm not sure if he had some type of psychotic break, but it has been reported through family members and friends of Aisha Fraser. That's her, his wife's name. And it has been reported that he was very controlling. You'll hear her mother talk about that at the sentencing, that she was controlling. He was controlling, and that he did a lot of things to scare her. By buying grenades, multiple weapons, leaving them out where she could see them. And that was before before she decided to, separate from him, because he was becoming a danger to not only to her, but to her children. And who wants their children to grow up around things like that? So she decided to leave him, and she decided to also, after some time, move on, start going out, getting to know other people, possibly to date them. She had someone they were interested in each other. And I think that sent him it made him go crazy. Okay, hold on a minute. So yeah. All right, so it made him go crazy. This is a judge that held different seats in a lot of different offices. And we're going to see so now I'm going to bring up the sentence, his hearing for him to be sentenced. And when you see the video, it shows because of the power that he has, because he, well, now at this point, he's no longer a judge. So, but because he was a judge, he has connections and he's friends with people that are also high in power. So I just want you to pay attention to the energy in this room. Even though, even though, he's here to be sentenced, it's just the energy in this room, the pro Lance Mason, and the judge even, she says some stuff to him, but she even had a soft spot in her heart for him, and that's how he was able to be arrested for what he did, all of the ailments that he caused Miss Fraser. The judge is going to mention them in the video, so that's why I'm not going to, talk about it here right now, because in the video, the judge explains all of it. So we're going to watch that video on 1.5 speed, because we don't want to be here all day. I don't want this to be a long video at all, but I just wanted to point out and bring attention to the energy in this courtroom, and the power, and how he walks up to the mic, to speak to the judge like he's getting ready to give up and give a dissertation. He's very arrogant in the way he's moving. And the way he speaks with this like matter of fact tone. But pay attention to all of the players that are in the courtroom with him. It's just a little disturbing how, because he was a judge, how they all rallied around him, even with proof that he committed these crimes against his ex-wife. So, and that's something that, I was talking about leading up to this, about, paying attention to how he's being treated in a courtroom. And I'm not saying that they don't have to go out their way to be, mean to him or show them that. I'm just talking about how they were all so quick to come to court and say, oh, this is not him, blah, 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 whatever they were talking about. But it is him. You don't know who he is once he's off of the bench. You don't know who he is when he's behind closed doors at home. Apparently, something happened. It's the reason why he didn't just wake up one day and decide to assault her. So I definitely, he has like this, his thinking, the way he thinks, it is dated. So I just want you to pay attention to that, because, depending on who you are, you get treated well. And even though his wife, she didn't come to court, it's like a slap in the face to her. I'm sure she watched it. And to see all of the people, and I can't tell anybody how to think, or, what to believe, but it was just pretty disturbing to me. So I'm pretty sure she felt some type of way. Because even though these people were people that he worked with all the time, of course there were gatherings, they intermingled, some of them had their own relationships with him, with her, because of being in different places, and at one time. The power tripping that's going on in this courtroom is just beyond me. I didn't like it. And that's just it. That's my story, and I'm sticking to that. So I'm going to bring up the hearing for his sentencing hearing. That's what we're going to watch next. Like I said, on 1.5, and here it is.
Good morning, Your Honor. I'm humbled by the comments of so many people. I can prompt that to be emotional, but it's not to curry sympathy. I'm here to be punished today for what I did to my wife and my children. I take the crimes I committed against my wife and my children. I have no excuses. I beat my wife in front of my kids and put them in the arm. And I am solely responsible. And nothing justifies the harm I've done to my wife and my family. There hasn't been a day that I have not regretted my actions.
Hold
I was
on.
raised to
So
be
why
stoic,
is
especially
it
by my
not
mom
here?
and the actions of my dad during challenging circumstances.
Hold on one second.
But in private, there have been many nights on my knees, and I've mourned the harm I've done to my family. I mean, I'm
We're
heartbroken
gonna
and
have to.
devastated
I don't know
for the pain
how this got like this. Hold on. I have to redo it to reshare it. Um, all right. So there it is.
Good morning, Your Honor. I'm humbled by the comments of so many people. I can prompt that will be emotional, but it's not to curry sympathy. I'm here to be punished today for what I did to my wife and my children. I take the crimes I committed against my wife and my children. I have no excuses. I beat my wife in front of my kids and put them in harm. And I am solely responsible. And nothing justifies the harm I've done to my wife and my family. There hasn't been a day that I have not regretted my actions. I was raised to be stoic, especially by my mom and the actions of my dad during challenging circumstances. But in private, there have been many nights on my knees, and I've mourned the harm I've done to my family. I mean, I'm heartbroken and devastated for the pain I caused my wife and the girls, but it doesn't compare to the pain and devastation that I've done to them. And I can't undo that harm or undo what my girls witnessed, and it tears me apart. I struggle to understand my actions. I didn't know I was capable of doing this. I mean, even bit my wife. I mean, that morning I prayed for my wife and children. I wasn't even going to pick them up for the funeral. And I just went and picked them up because we were sharing the car. But all of my life I fought against this type of brutality that I did to Aisha. When I became a judge, I wanted to be a judge at some point in my life, but I thought it would be 20 years later because I thought I was too young and didn't have enough experience. There was a crisis in my home. And so I sought to come home to continue to serve the public, but to take care of my parents, my father who had dementia, my mom who had a near fatal heart attack, and also suffered dementia. And I came home to help my wife because our daughter had just been born with special needs. And I didn't realize that I was this broken. I mean, I had no idea. I blame my wife, but I was broken. I've done everything I know to do to understand why I hurt my wife and children and jeopardized the lives of what I value most, Ava and Audrey. I will continue to do whatever is needed to ensure nothing like this happens again. As people know that I've sought as much treatment as everything I knew to do. I joined 3 groups of church. I've longed to apologize to my wife and her family. Prior to the plea offer, I told my baby Ava that I told her that I was wrong for hitting her mom and that I was sorry. I failed the public. I failed my wife and my family. I failed my girls, who I've tried to be a good example to and to protect every way I could. I'm probably overprotective. And because of my action, I realized that I've left my wife to raise our daughters alone, to provide for them alone. It's against everything I've learned and everything I know, and I sincerely regret it. My prayer is that in the future I live a life that will make it possible for Aisha, Audrey, Ava, and all that I've hurt to forgive me. And I'm ready to be punished.
You want to see the sentence? Any additional
No, yeah.
All right, I want to say I felt long and hard about what is appropriate in this case. And I want to treat you the same as I would any individual who's in front of me for this type of violent offense. Whether or not you are a steel worker, or an auto worker, construction worker, or a white collar worker, clergyman, the law is equal, and we're all equal before the law, and we're all responsible for our own conduct and our own decisions. Your attorney said this was a perfect storm. In reading over the volumes and letters and the sentences that have been provided, in some ways it was, in some ways it wasn't. Only because in the letter from the counsel who represented your wife in the divorce proceedings, and in other documents the court has seen from domestic relations, she had been asking you to go to counseling for 2 years. 2 years. They separated in March of 2005. This is according to her and her attorney. On August 2nd, when you asked if I could get Aisha, all she said was, before you brutalized her, Lance, I want you to get some treatment before we get back together. And at that point, you got loose on her. I read over the pre-sentence investigation, as I said, in the police report. I'm just going to read part of it. And your attorneys have read this, and nobody disputes what happened here. Shaker Heights officers responded to the Hillcrest Hospital to a victim Aisha Fraser. The victim stated they were driving back from a funeral. The defendant began to argue about their marriage. Their two daughters were in the back seat of the vehicle. The defendant was driving, and he was in the front, and she was in the front passenger seat. The defendant began punching her with his right fist in the head while driving. She stated it was a closed fist, and he punched her approximately 20 times. After punching her, the defendant grabbed her hair on the back of her head, smashed it against the center console approximately 5 times. The victim stated as he was beating her, she continuously pressed on the vehicle's horn, hoping to get somebody's attention to help her. The victim then stated that the defendant began to choke her, but was unable to do so. He used his arm to hit her head and neck against the passenger door window. The two children were in the back seat of the vehicle screaming in crime. That's probably, in addition to the terrible savage beating that he gave her by the fact that your children are in the back witnessing this, screaming and crying, exposing your children to this kind of violence is really unbelievable. The vehicle came to a stop at the red light, and the victim attempted to get out. The defendant grabbed her by her hair and would not let go. The victim was able to escape his grasp and exited the vehicle and onto the street. The defendant then crawled over the center console and the passenger seat, exiting the vehicle on the street and got on top of the victim. The defendant continued to punch the victim in the face 3 or 4 more times, bit her on her right ear, saying, "Your life is over now." The defendant then got back in the vehicle and rode away. The victim then got up, ran down the street. She came across some Samaritans who helped her. And again, all these people in the back of the courtroom, if you had reached out to them, there was a period of time, obviously, you separated in March of 2004, before this incident in August of 2014, excuse me, and one of them would have helped you. Or if you'd gone to this counselor, or if you'd gone to this social worker, or if you'd gone to this pastor before this happened and reached out, they would have helped you. Now, in balancing what is appropriate, it'd be a lot easier if you came in front of me and you were a serial killer or you had a long criminal history. It'd be easier to sentence you to prison. But I look at all of the great things you've done in your career, where you come from. You came from a great family, got a great education, you made something of yourself, you worked in the city government, county government, your college respects you, the attorneys and practice in front of you respect you. And yet, simmering beneath this, even though your wife had asked you to go to counseling, you did not. And as a result of a lot of pressures, you stand on August 2nd. All of us are subject to pressures, and you know that as a judge having handled so many of these cases. There's not one person in this courtroom that doesn't carry a burden with them. Either a sick child, or you lose your husband, or you lose your wife, or you lose your child, or your financial problems. But you don't take it on your own knees. I'm looking at these pictures here of Aisha. They're horrible. This one here shows not only her eyes are swollen shut, she's got a bite on her cheek. You were satisfied to beat her, you beat her. Her eyes are swollen shut to the point her orbital bone. And I'm not going to go through the multiple bruises on here. And in fashioning a sentence, the court also has to consider not only the physical harm that you caused her, but also the psychological harm as well. In the pre-sentence investigation, we were already living in that day. And this is what Mrs. Mason said. I'm going to reference a portion of it. The incident of 2014 have changed my life forever. My children have post-traumatic stress disorder resulting physically abused by Mason. I also suffer from the physical scars of having my orbital bone broken. In fact, I currently do not have any feeling in the left side of my face due to nerve damage. I also suffered mental emotion for many years during my marriage. My daughters will forever be impacted by the loss of their father in their lives. So your choices and your actions brought you here today. There's no one else responsible for your conduct. She is not at fault in any way. The court has considered the purposes and principles of sentencing. Do not sentence you to prison with the seriousness of the offense and adequately protect society. You should never come out by yourself. I consider the need to incapacitate you to deter others. If you don't receive punishment of your judge for the same crime that somebody else standing in front of me would be punished for, there is no rule of law in our court. I consider the minimum sentence, however, the court feels based on the brutality of the attack and the other seriousness factors, section 29, 29, 12, to give you the minimum sentence with it being the seriousness of the offense and not adequately protect society from future criminal conduct by yourself and others. I consider the serious physical and mental and economic harm to the victim. The offender's reputation or occupation is likely to influence others' conduct. Certainly the relationship in this case facilitated the offense. And as I said, perhaps most important, this domestic assault case was done in the presence of your children. In reference to this case, after considering what has been said here today, the pre-sentence investigation, the victim impact statement, the defendant's statement here today, the sentencing brief, and all the letters. In reference to the charge of attempted felonious assault, the court is going to impose a prison sentence of 24 months. I'm going to impose 3 years of mandatory post-release control. As you know, but I will tell you again, upon release from prison, the adult parole authority will monitor you on custody control for 3 years. During that time period, if you violate any of their conditions, the parole authority can impose additional sanctions, including additional incarceration in prison that is equal to 1/2 of this court's given prison term, and they can do so in increments for repeated violations. It's also possible to reduce your sentence by participating in certain educational or vocational classes while incarcerated. And that credit could also, extra credit can be taken away for misbehavior while incarcerated in prison. The court, and I discussed this with the attorneys in this case, the court is going to order, and no one is objecting, that while incarcerated in prison, the best thing you can do is to do something positive, turn a negative into a positive, and avail yourself of whatever counseling is available in prison. You know, your daughters can accept a father that made a mistake, or what they can't accept is someone who doesn't learn from those mistakes. The court is going to order while incarcerated that you receive counseling in the institution. The court is going to outline, I believe, I want you to complete one of the following classes in this order is preferable. The Batter's Intervention Program that is offered in the Ohio State Department of Rehabilitation, Cage or Rage, which is also available, anger management, and thinking for a change. Any one of those, but in particular, the Batter's Intervention Program, I believe you would benefit from. Obviously, you have underlying issues that you have not dealt with in the past. On the charge of domestic violence, I'm going to send you to 6 months in the Cuyahoga County Jail. I'm going to order that sentence run concurrently and not consecutively. Or it's going to give you credit for 6 days previously spent in jail for the sentence. The last thing I want to say to you, Judge Mason, is one of the things that you always said, I see value in you as a person when you said that in prison. And I see value in you, let's face it, as a person, but you need to get a hold, and you need to take advantage of counseling. There is a need in this case for treatment. I can't turn my back on that just because you're a judge. You have to be like everybody else. And at an appropriate time down the line, your attorneys will be judicial release after you serve the statutory period. I will look at any programming that you've done while incarcerated. And I'll take a look at, obviously, any disciplinary practices when the sign on further relief down the line. The issue at this time that either party wants to for the court.
Okay. Your Honor, would you consider waiving court costs and fines? No one's getting paid here, just so the court knows.
Yeah, see, court, I will grant that motion of the defense. The court this time I will impose no financial sanctions, and the court will waive court costs.
Thank you. Thank you, Judge. Thank you, Judge.
Oh, I see.
Now, I get it. I get it. Like, you know, some people are there, like his sister, and things like that. And I definitely get it. But the energy in that room was off. And it was to me it was kind of like a slap in the face, you know, to Aisha, to her children that you know, witnessed what their father, you know, did. 6 months for all of the injuries that he caused. 6 months. And he got some additional time. And, you know, she wanted him to go ahead and take classes while he's incarcerated. But to waive court costs, because no one's getting paid there. Who cares that nobody's getting paid there? You're his friends that decided to take his case pro bono, and you already knew what you were getting into. But court costs aren't that much money, so why couldn't he pay his court costs? He should not have been giving any special privileges that anybody else that was standing in his position would receive. At this point, another thing I had an issue with her calling him a judge. He's no longer a judge. He's standing before you being judged from his own actions. And so all of those little things, all of those little nuances, you know, speaks to the people, the public that are watching. And why we always say that, you know, whenever a law enforcement officer does something or, you know, commits a crime or, you know, someone, you know, that's, you know, in power that can take someone's freedom away from them, they're not quick to tell them like it is. And then for him to walk out of the court in handcuffs and everybody screaming, "Oh, we love you." Oh, you know, and I get it. Like his sister, she may feel that type of way, but a lot of those people that were in the audience are not related to him. It's people that he has worked with. And yeah, you can still love a loved one if they have committed a crime. The energy just bothered me. The whole court thing just bothered me. The way he went up there, you know, matter of factly, and got on the mic like he was getting ready to sing a song. Like, sir, no. What you did was horrible. It was horrible. And she ordered that he take some psychological classes or whatever, therapy, if it's given to him in jail, if they allow it. How about him seeing someone about his mental health? Because clearly, in all of the videos and things that I've seen of the ex-judge Lance Mason, he has this, what do you call it? Animated way that he moves. Even walking into the courtroom, it's all like animated. Like, I'm the guy. Animated and arrogant. Yeah, there you go. Animated and arrogant at the same time. Just put his name in. You'll see videos of him walking to go into the courtroom and things like that. And it's always animated and arrogant the way he moves. You could tell that he literally took the power of being a judge personally, and he walked around like that with this air about him that just bothers me. Every video that I've seen of him. So we're now going to get into the video. He's lost a lot of weight. It's the same person. Just want to let you know in advance. He's lost a lot of weight. And so this is the video of the arrest and the chase that he took the cops on. Like, it was mind blowing, because I saw the other, the first video, and like I said, there was another video out here where you actually with a wife on the night that he assaulted her, of her out in the her out on the street, and these good Samaritans allowing her to jump into their car. And in the video, it shows her, begging them to get her to the hospital, and her needing to speak to the police because he had his two daughters in the car with him. And so on the first video, we saw that when they went to arrest him the next morning after, he had on the shirt with her blood all over it. So, and I thought it was interesting how, but hold on 1 minute, y'all. 1 minute. So I'm sorry, my daughter just got home. She's already bothering me. So when he got up to go on that last video, when he got up to speak at the lectern before he was sentenced, he had to let the judge know that he's crying, but not. Hello, laugh always and have fun. Thank you so much for coming over. I do appreciate you being here. And hit that like button for me. So when he walked up to the lectern, he tried to garner sympathy by immediately saying, you know, I'm upset, so I'm going to cry, but it's not the garden of sympathy. That's exactly what you were trying to do, garden sympathy. And you didn't need any sympathy because you had a room full of people just ready to, to be there at your beck and call. So laugh always, have fun. This video is not going to be too long. I've already showed the first half, but this is the story of the ex-judge, Lance Mason. He assaulted his wife. She had to have some pretty extensive surgery. Thank you, laugh always, have fun. So she had to have some extensive surgery. So they just sentenced him. I just showed the video where they sentenced him. So now I'm getting ready to show the video. After he was released, he unalived her. And like everybody felt her. Everybody felt this. She was such a beautiful soul. She was an educator. She taught 6th grade math and history. And those children loved her. You will see in his sentencing for the unaliving that his one of the teachers from the school she taught at and the children, sent something there. They wanted it read on their behalf. But I just think that they all felt her. She was such a beautiful woman, and it's sad that this waste of space even existed, handing out sentences, taking people's freedoms away. Meanwhile, he's a judge on the bench during the daytime, and at night he's home harassing his family. Evil. So I'm going to go ahead and play the video of him getting arrested for the unaliving now. Just give me 1 second, because I think I might have to just do it like this. Because last time it just cut right off. Not the right one. So, yeah, it's this one. Oh, so we're going to... all right, so hold on 1 minute. I just want to, okay.
Hey, is it that house? It's 1-1. It's on this side of the street. It's him. He came out of the house. It's him. What's up? Put your hands up. Put your hands up now. Put your hands up. Hands up. Hands up. You're gonna get shot! Put your hands up! Put your hands up! Tell them about this shit! Holy fuck!
Yeah, watch it. They got the dog up there. They're upstairs.
I got contact. Put your hands behind your back. Do it now.
Get him out. Watch. Is anyone else in the house?
My daughters and my sister.
Where are they? Are they hurt?
They're in this bedroom.
Are they hurt?
No, not in any way.
Okay, where's the weapon?
Outside.
Any possibility of see anything like that? Blood-related pathogen?
No.
Okay. Is anyone else injured in this house?
No.
Alright, roll to your side. Let's get you on your feet.
Stand on feet.
Yep. Who's upstairs? Wait, hang on.
Neighbor. I have no weapons.
Alright, on your feet. Here. Sit on your butt. Alright. Let's get on your knees. On your knees.
Hold on this. I need to put my dog on.
All the way up.
Oh, you got someone with you?
Okay, hang on.
Get him out. You got him? Got him? His wrist is squirting out blood. We need him to the ambulance now. Squirting out blood. Squirting out blood. Go.
Okay. Come on. Watch. Where's the ambulance at? Thank you. Hold him up with the back with your hands. Where's? I am. All right. We need another squad.
out here. Sit him down. Fast.
He's bleeding out. Let's go. No, he's not bleeding out.
You need to be operational?
Okay, have a seat right here. Were you hit anywhere, or were you stabbed at all?
Only if I hurt myself.
Put him up. He's just a hindrance. 2 people uninjured in there. Here.
3 people.
3 people uninjured?
Yeah, my 2 daughters and... Can I believe I did this?
I need you to do security for these 2 people that are coming out. Hey, we need to move him out of here. Move him out of the front door. Put him down over here.
Okay, come on this way.
Move him out. Move him out of the way.
He is bleeding from his hands.
Okay. All right.
So we'll need him in this ambulance.
I'm the patrol officer right there.
Okay, this way. He told me he has nothing to say after I Mirandized him. Are you the only male that was in that house at the time?
Yeah.
So far, he was the only male in the house at the time.
Right? I would say here.
Yeah, I would go that way. Yeah.
Got a smaller cut above it.
Okay.
See the smaller one right here?
Yeah. Is that one spurting though?
That one's not spurting. That one's just oozing.
Okay.
Bring this finger. There you go.
Tell me this one because I did it black and red.
I'm gonna have to get turned back to
Yeah. Trying to get the shit out.
Yeah, we do.
No possibility of Pepsi, any bloodborne issues.
Copy. Thank you.
Yep.
What?
That thing? Yeah, let's drink the fuck out of that thing. Like it's gonna fucking hurt.
Now that it's bandaged up, I can't fucking stop, but...
How's your right arm feel? Okay, take the fuck out of that thing. I don't give a shit. That thing is it's gonna like hurt to fucking move. Alright, that's really good. It's really pretty hard to tighten up. Yeah.
Alright, we got someone go with us.
Oh yeah, definitely.
We're gonna go down.
I don't know if it's exactly going to be me, but I'm not letting him out of my sight. If you guys could just pull his pants up when able. It was definitely. It was squirting out. Yeah.
The same? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we got that digit. We got a pretty good lack on that. It's about ready to.
Okay.
All right, so that is the video where not only, hold on, let me go because it's going to go right to this next.
Hi, how are you?
Yeah, let me turn that off. All right, so
I guess I'll call the case.
that is the video of him being chased on the day that he unalived his wife. So she was coming over to drop the children off, and he decided that he would use the opportunity is that as soon as she rang the bell, like to bring the children to the door, that was his sister's home, to make sure that they got inside safely. He was waiting inside of the screen door, and he started, stabbing her through the screen door. His sister lived next to a woman that had a 12-year-old daughter. She had to move. She was displaced for a while because she wasn't expecting to move. She was moving because her 12-year-old daughter not only witnessed that, what the video you guys just saw, she didn't just witness that incident. She also witnessed him unaliving his wife, and heard all the screaming. So the daughter was having a hard time with that. She was scared to go to sleep. She didn't want to go to school. She didn't want to do anything. So her mother had to uproot her and move. And they were, like I said, they were displaced. She just picked up and had to move to get her daughter out of that area because her daughter, there was nothing that she can do. And you know what? That's understandable. She's 12, a grown-up person, witnessing something like that, may feel the same way. Like, but what, he was a judge. So I'm wondering, like, when he became a judge, did he have to go through some type of psychological testing? Normally in law enforcement, you do have to go through some psychological testing. And it's pretty thorough. I had to go through it. Like, I was correctional officer for 7.5 years and before. And so not only did I have to go through the testing, when I initially became an officer, I transferred 6 years later, 6.5 years later, 7 years later, I had transferred from the county corrections to state corrections, and I had to undergo another some more psychological testing, even though like the county had already did it, and it was just like it was a transfer from one to the other. They still made me see someone and get that testing done, and they give you all those questions, and you're like, why are they asking me this, and this don't make sense, but they don't tell you what the answer that they're looking for. But yeah, it's just amazing to me to see, somebody that's supposed to be handing out sentences. That was not, and the car that he crashed, that was his wife's truck. They were supposedly sharing the truck. But he crashed it into, and a police officer had like 1 foot on the ground and 1 foot inside the car. He was getting something. So when he crashed that truck, it hit that police officer. The police officer is still disabled and goes through a lot of things psychologically himself. So during the next video, you're going to hear, he wrote a statement. The police officer that happened to, he wrote a statement that the prosecutor read for him in court. I want to say, if I remember correctly, I want to say he was in the courtroom, but he just didn't want to speak. I want to say that he was there, but he just didn't want to speak. So the prosecutor is going to tell you on the video how that went. And he just caused so much hurt, so much pain. And you know what? I mean, I just look at all the things that's going on in the world, and a lot of days I'm like, what in the heck would make you have to stoop that low to first of all, to assault your wife that way and basically break bones in her face, and she had to get surgery, to doing time, being let out too soon because they were still coddling him a little bit. This is why I said the judge failed Aisha, because she had to sign off on those documents so that he would be able to be released earlier than what he should have been. He only served 9 months of his time. So that's when I say everybody failed her, they failed her. The legal system failed her. The courts failed her. Just like he failed her. And I want you to pay attention to, in the next video, when he stands up to talk. There's a lot not clicking. He's talking about stuff like, I was sitting here, when I first saw this, I was like, what the heck is he talking about? What? So it bothered me. This whole situation bothered me. I'm sure it's going to bother you, but we're going to listen to his sentencing for the unaliving of Aisha Fraser, and hear the people talk, hear her mother talk. Her mother's telling it like it is. Like, basically, like, this didn't just start. You did a lot of things to put fear on her heart. Her mother's telling it just like it is. But then he gets up to talk, and I'm like, he talking about rats and what the heck is yeah, he's had a few screws loose, because I couldn't understand, what are you talking about, sir? And he doesn't deserve, because I'm not sure if he got an LWOP, life without parole, or life with the possibility of parole. I forgot about that. I watch so much true crime, y'all. Listen, I do remember cases. I do remember like things that go on. But I'm forgetting whether he got an LWOP or he got the life with the possibility of parole. It may have just been he may have gotten 30 years. They're going to say, oh, here, I forgot about it. It's been a long time. I've watched a lot of crimes, a lot of, I watched a lot of trials and looked at a lot of interrogations since this one. And so, yeah, I have the right to have forgot. So without further ado, we're going to get right into this video. And this is the sentencing. I want you all to look at him. And when you get a chance, pull up a picture of Lance Mason when he was a judge to see how fluffy he was and how, and to see him here. Child. He ain't meet, but y'all know I love for these type of men to meet Bubba. Did you meet Bubba? Bubba, is you taking care of him? All right, don't let us down, Bubba. All right, so let's get this up here on the stage so we can get this. This is going to be the last video for today, and all right, this is it here. What do we have? Hold on, let me. All right, so let's see, it's on. All right, so I just need to move this up to 1.5, and then let's do this one. And I'm wondering if I don't believe these attorneys, they still took his case for free. I don't believe that they got paid. Right.
And here we are, not quite. It looks like they're about ready to bring him out. It was just a couple of weeks ago that Mason took a plea deal. He said he did not want his daughter testifying in his case. And we see the former judge right there in the orange jumpsuit being brought into the courtroom. He did not want his daughter testifying in this case, which is why he changed his plea he's pleaded guilty to 1 count of aggravated murder, 1 count of murder, 2 counts of felonious assault, and one of those was on a police officer. You'll remember after the crime, he stole his wife's car, ex-wife's car, and tried to escape. In doing so, he hit a police officer. So that's where that count of assault on a police officer came in. Then 1 count of grand theft and 1 count of violating a protection order. A judge had to be brought up from Stark County for this as to show no bias, and the judge is seated. Let's take you into the courtroom.
Remaining the dignity of this court, ask the deputies if there is any disruption. We ask that individual to leave. But I thank you in advance for your cooperation. That having been said, you can call the case. Well, I guess I'll call the case. We're here on the Stable House versus Lance Mason. We're here for sentencing, subject to a plea. Pursuant to that, I would ask, first of all, if the defense counsel has anything they wish to state for the record.
Thank you, Judge. Yes, we would. Obviously, Judge, just to understand the procedure that at the end, after Mr. Shaughnessy and I speak, Mr. Mason will have the opportunity to help you as well. Good, Judge.
Correct, and of course, I've indicated to state that if they wish to have a further statement at that time, they may inquire of the court. All right.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. Judge, I would just say this, that obviously, today, as indicated in our brief, the power of the pen is outweighed by the events of November 17, 2018. There's no words we could write, no document we can provide to change a horrific event. However, I would say to you, Judge, that to be direct, you have a decision to make today, and I think it's an obvious decision, at least it is to Mr. Shaughnessy, Mr. Mason, and that is, do you send Mr. Mason to prison today with a life sentence without the opportunity for parole, or does he leave here today with maybe an imaginary date, imaginary hope, and that's what we're going to ask him for. The court has a wide range of sentences available to it. I calculated correctly, I think it was life eligibility parole after 42 years, if he's 45 if they stacked everything together, Judge. And it may seem trivial to some, maybe some of the audience, to ask for that type of sentence, but I would tell you that it may get a humane world, it may be the humane thing to do. And it may give somebody who knows never going to leave prison just that little bit of hope every day. And I can hear the response. I'm not deaf. The response is, well, somebody else didn't have that opportunity, and I understand that. But we're here to say that we're sorry for that. We're here to say that we accept the responsibility for that event, November 17th. We're here to say that we took a strategy in this case, Judge, that I will say relieved many of the harm that was caused that day. And most importantly, spared his children from having to ever visualize, hear, or maybe testify in a proceeding. I would suggest that alone deserves some credit. In our industry, when somebody allocutes and accepts complete full responsibility, there should be something we gain from that. But I would say to the court that Mr. Mason, the life didn't start on November 17th. It didn't start with horrific acts. It started long before, and I would hope the court would consider all the good that he did before that date. He can't erase that date. He can't erase that date some 2 years, 3 years before either, Judge. We know that. I know that the court has had the opportunity to review our filings, and right or wrong, Judge, Mr. Mason has had and continues to have a distorted belief, if you will, of what's necessary to protect his children from an area that we can't comprehend. None of us. His closest friend, who we had a letter from today in this world, couldn't understand it. But Mr. Mason has outlined in the report, Judge, it's real. It's not an excuse by any stretch, but it gives you a little bit idea of the demon, if you will, that he fought daily. Judge, I simply ask that you consider all the good that he has done before that day. Consider what we filed, and obviously you can see that the last time that he went to the penitentiary, that he didn't waste it. As I've said to Mr. Mason, I believe that he has an opportunity to do good after this. There is civilization and society within the prison walls, and he'll have the opportunity to potentially help others. He did it the last time he was there. I think the 2 stories that we shared with you from his blog demonstrate that. I simply ask Judge to give that ability to have that open. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else on behalf of the defense this time?
Judge, we just have a couple other comments, and I would certainly concur with everything that Mr. Spelcy has said. And I would ask the judge to consider, to ask you something that gives, as Mr. Spelcy said, maybe an unrealistic date, given his age and the sentence that will be imposed here. But we would just ask you to consider a statutorily appropriate sentence that someday, 40, 50 years from now, if he's still alive, allows the parole board to make a determination if he's suitable for release. And I just ask that we trust in the people that will be on that parole board to make the right decision. if it's suitable and proper punishment has been served, and the law allows for such a sentence from you, and they deem that it's appropriate for release, please trust them. If we get to that point, they deem that release is not appropriate, we trust them to do that as well. So we would ask you, again, to give a statutorily appropriate penalty that allows for some review in 40, 45, 50 years. Thank you.
Did he give his wife a chance?
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon. On behalf of Aisha Fraser's family, there are several people that are going to speak on her behalf, and I will make a statement at the conclusion of that, Your Honor. First is going to speak is William Scanlon. He is part of the Shaker Heights Teachers Association, wherein Aisha Fraser was teacher. Please identify yourself for the court and spell your last name.
And I have a letter. Can I bring it to the bench for you? Yes, sir. Thank you. My name is William Scanlon, and I'm from Shaker Heights, and I'm a teacher. I taught in the district with Aisha. Your Honor, please consider the maximum sentence with no possibility for parole for Lance Mason. We, the Shaker Heights Teachers Association, the teachers who worked with Aisha Fraser, including those of us who currently teach her two daughters, believe that Mr. Mason's heinous crime and complete disregard for the welfare of their children warrant his imprisonment for the entirety of his sentence. He had opportunities to seek help even before he beat and abandoned his then wife in the street in 2015. He apparently learned nothing during his first all too brief time in prison. Within 3 years, he proved to all the attorneys and clergymen who had vouched for him that he was, in fact, the vicious and selfish person he had showed himself to be when he smashed Aisha's face into 7 pieces. The proof was fatal for Aisha and deeply traumatic for her daughters. Please do not let this same mistake play out again. During his last appearance, Mason told the court that he was pleading guilty because there's no way I was going to let my daughter testify against me. As educators, as parents, as friends of Aisha, as caregivers for her children, we found that a profoundly disturbing statement. We believe that his statement reveals his narcissism and a perverse sense of power he still feels over his children, which are the same traits that drove him to attack their mother in front of them. Please do not allow this man, no matter his education and experience in the legal community, the privilege of being released earlier than a full sentence would dictate. His background and previous standing in the courts are reasons to have expected even more from him than he demonstrated. Aisha's daughters should not have to live with the worry of when and where they will see their mother's killer walking free again. Please give Aisha Fraser's murderer the maximum sentence without the possibility of parole. Thank you.
Is Irene Crowell?
Good afternoon, Your Honor. My name is Irene Cole. The late Aisha Millicent Fraser was my goddaughter. Aisha affectionately called me Mama Reed. Oftentimes, I called her my baby. Her daughters, Audrey and Ava, called me Grandma Reed. I would like to thank you for allowing me to address you in the court today at the sentencing of Lance Timothy Mason for murdering Aisha Millicent Fraser. I'm very grateful that we didn't have to endure the pain of a trial, especially for the sake of Aisha's 9-year-old daughter, Ava, who would have had to testify against her father. Aisha's 11-year-old daughter, Audrey, has disabilities that would have prevented her from testifying against Lance, even though she too witnessed the violent act. I am speaking so that the full impact of the crime that Lance committed against Aisha is brought to your attention. There are many moral lessons we learned growing up, but none is more basic than knowing that another human being is killing another human being is wrong. At first, when I was told that I would be able to read my victim impact statement and share my thoughts regarding the impact of Aisha's death, I thought that I knew exactly what to write. However, when I began putting pen to paper, I got it lost initially because there was so much that I wanted to write. The last time that I had the pleasure of seeing Aisha alive was November 15, 2018. I had stopped by her home after school that Thursday afternoon to drop off Audrey's birthday gift. I was quite surprised, but happy as always to see my goddaughter. Aisha had not worked that day because Ava had pink eye and she had stayed home to care for her. Aisha seemed so happy. We chatted as usual about her co-parenting relationship with Lance and his challenges. I warned her as usual to be careful because I felt she was compromised by the arrangements. We discussed our seeing each other on Saturday, November 17, 2018, at our noon Charms meeting. We hugged and said goodbye, neither of us knowing that it was truly goodbye. That fateful Saturday morning, November 17, 2018, started out as a normal day for Aisha and for me, the expectation of our meeting at noon is planned. I attended my 9 a.m. sorority meeting. She went to drop the girls for visitation with their father. Lo and behold, there are no words to express the life-changing tragedy and grief that were imminent. Within the hour, Aisha had been fatally stabbed by Lance. I was summoned by some of my sorority sisters to step outside the sorority meeting and bring all my belongings. I was told to have a seat before they would share the news. By then, I had started to weep because my heart was starting to sink. After I sat down, my soror said, quote, "It's your baby," unquote. I asked what she meant because I thought maybe Aisha had been in a car accident. She then said, quote, "She's gone." I became hysterical as I watched the police process the crime scene on an iPad. When I arrived at the Shaker Heights police station to be with Mrs. Fraser and Aisha's daughter, my pain was intensified as I watched Audrey and Ava trying to understand what had happened to their mother. Ava was repeating over and over, and I quote, "My daddy hurt my mommy. He hurt her really bad. I don't think she is alive." When the girls were finally told that Aisha was dead, the pain and heartache that they unleashed were unbearable. Ava immediately realized that she had lost both of her parents because her mother was dead and her father was going to jail. Ava also realized that their lives had changed forever, inquiring of me, who would take care of them? Where would they live? Who would take them on vacation? The gravity of this horrific tragedy was real. Audrey and Ava were placed instantly in the temporary custody of Children's Services. They were transported later that afternoon from the Shaker Heights Police and Children's Services for processing into the system, then to Metro Health Hospital for examination for any possible wounds or cuts, and back to Children's Services for more paperwork, all while in shock and grieving. They had left home that Saturday morning with their mother and returned about 12 hours later without their mother. It was befuddling to me as to why Lance could not have loved, appreciated, and celebrated the beautiful wife and two lovely daughters that were his family before he brutally assaulted Aisha in 2014 in the presence of their young daughters. And then Lance further proceeded to rob Aisha's family and friends of their happiness permanently by murdering her 4 years later. Aisha was an awesome person. She was a Christian woman. She was so smart and funny. Now, all of that had been stolen from her parents, from her daughters, from her family, from her friends, and from me. She has been stolen from her students, whose young minds she was developing as future leaders. She has also been stolen as well from the community where she lived and worked, and that she so loved and was always giving back in service. Having to deal with Aisha's death is one thing, but to have to live with the memory of the violence associated with her ruthless death is excruciating and ever present for everyone. I'm sure that Aisha fought with all her might for her life and for her daughters, but she was so no match for Lance. Some friends told me that they heard her screams on Van Hagen Boulevard, blocks away from the crime scene, as Lance inflicted stab wounds upon her body. She died in the driveway all alone, with no one she loved to hold her, to reassure her, or to comfort her. I was even told that the 12-year-old girl living next door, who watched the entire murder from her second-floor bedroom window and heard Aisha's screams, were so traumatized that the family had to move away. The young girl is also receiving counseling. Your Honor, I would be somewhat comforted if Lance Timothy Mason was never to be released from prison during his lifetime for this horrendous crime. I thank you for your attention and for hearing me. Respectfully submitted, Eileen Smith Crowe. Thank you.
Stacey Crowell and her husband are going to address you, Your Honor. Mrs. Sturt and Mrs. Crowell have been entrusted with the care of the Mason children.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. My name is Stacey Howard Crow. I am the guardian and godmother of the late Aisha Fraser's daughters, 11-year-old Audrey and 9-year-old Ava Mason. I would like to express my sincere gratitude towards you and your staff for allowing me to speak here today. I appreciate those present here in the courtroom that will partake of the words coming from the sound of my voice. Your Honor, when I wrote my victim impact statement on behalf of my family, I used the word you in reference to Lance Timothy Mason. I had known Aisha Fraser for the past 34 years. Our relationship evolved over the years from schoolmates to friends to sisters to sorority sisters of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated and essentially family members. She was godmother to my youngest son. Thus, words cannot express the pain and anguish my family has endured since Aisha was butchered to death by you. Just 5 years ago, I was asked by Aisha to be the godmother to her daughters, Audrey and Ava. This role in our faith community is one of the highest honors bestowed upon another woman, one that takes into careful account who would carry on the torch of memories, of morals, and of maturation into adulthood in the absence of parents. Aisha thought of me in that utmost regard. With this being said, her request of my assuming this role as godmother occurred just days after you brutally attacked her in a vehicle with then 6-year-old Audrey and 4-year-old Ava present to witness. Aisha said to me with a clear mind and conscious heart, he's going to kill me, and when it happens, I need you to take care of my girls. Even though I told her that her fearful thoughts were not going to happen, I agreed to be the godmother to Audrey and Ava While I understood what being a godmother meant, I never imagined in my wildest dreams that I would ever have to make good on that promise. 5 years later, here I stand because you did exactly what her gut-wrenching, entrusted wit, and fearful heart said that you were going to do, and that was to kill her. On November 17, 2018, you committed the ultimate act of selfishness when you decided to play God and thought that you had the right to take the life of their mother. You decided not only to take your daughter's mother away from them, you also decided to leave them without a father as well. Since you only have the capacity to worry about yourself, there are now 2 beautiful girls left in the wake of your destruction. You have left other people to experience all of the wonderful things to come in Audrey's and Ava's lives: birthday parties, holidays, graduations, weddings, motherhood. As a parent, I have always put my 3 children first, above any of my own needs or wants. Aisha did the same for her daughters. Yet you failed to put Ava and Audrey first. Now they are paying the price for the rest of their lives after watching you put yourself first, both by your actions and by your words. These are some of the ways that you have forever impacted Audrey and Ava's lives. First, I have held Ava in my arms countless nights since Aisha was murdered, while she cried uncontrollably, longing for her mother, reliving the horror of what she had witnessed, and feeling all alone because Audrey couldn't share in the pain with her due to her disabilities. Second, there have been numerous occasions when I have had to leave work to pick Ava up from school because she was having a meltdown or complaining of an ailment so she could go home. Third, Ava told me she was scared after Googling her mother's name on her tablet, reading that you had lied and pled not guilty when she saw you murder her mother. She was afraid that you would be free and that she would have to live with you one day. Ava felt such a sense of relief when I told her that you had finally told the truth, admitting to what you had done and that you would be sent to prison. Fourth, Ava is very conflicted about her feelings toward you. I must constantly talk to her about the guilt she's feeling for loving you because you are her father. However, due to her witnessing what you had done in front of her, she thinks that you are evil and that she should not love you at all. Last, Ava has shown defiant behaviors and uncooperativeness at times that have spilled over into home, school, and outside activities. When asked why she thinks that this is acceptable behavior, her response verbatim was that my father told me to be this way, to always be non-negotiable and to argue back when necessary. So while I'm trying to console and comfort her, I'm also trying to undo negative learned behavior that was taught by you that could make her life more difficult than it is already. Fast forward 10 months later, Audrey and Ava are doing much better than I could have anticipated. They have found joy in having Uncle Mike, a big sister Jasmine, and 2 big brothers, Stephen and Miles, that have dedicated their lives to ensuring that they are loved, safe, and protected. Ensuring that no one ever makes them feel less than the beautiful, loving girls that they are, and ensuring that they develop into well-rounded young women in spite of their horrifying experiences. They are aunties as well to my grandchildren, Evan and Emery. They have a niece and a nephew that they talk about all of the time, who affectionately call them Auntie Audrey and Auntie Ava with a B instead of a V, along with grandparents, a host of other aunties, uncles, and extended family. Even though this has been a major change in all of our lives, as my youngest child has just graduated from college, and I having to witness the ongoing trauma the girls will have to endure forever, knowing what their father has done to their mother, I'm glad that they are part of my life and my family. With God's constant hand on my family and his guidance, I am ready to take on the responsibility and keep my promise to Aisha. It is the request of my family that the maximum penalty be imposed for the murder of Aisha, life imprisonment without possibility of parole. Respectfully submitted, Stacey Howard Kroll, guardian and godmother to Audrey and Ava Mason. Thank you, Your Honor.
And Mrs. Melissa Fraser is going to address you, Your Honor. She is the mother of Aisha Fraser.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Is this the mic?
You want to Stacy? You want to stand?
I think I'll be all right.
Okay.
Okay. I am Millicent Fraser, and I'm speaking today on behalf of my husband, Mr. Edward Fraser, and myself, as well as remaining family members who may be present today. Mr. Fraser is not well. He's unable to be here today. Everett and I were the parents of the late Aisha Fraser. Our daughter was a beautiful beacon of light, and she loved her parents and family. She was an amazing mother, a beloved teacher in Shaker Heights, and an active member of Garfield Memorial Church and Pepper Pike in South Euclid, where my granddaughter used to help serve in Pepper Pike at church. For Everett and me, love is trust. It is patient and quiet understanding. And our message to you, Lance, is one does not have the right to control a person. Everyone deserves their space and quiet moments of peace. Lance, you never provided that for our daughter. Today, I confront you on behalf of my husband and myself for the aggression that you have rendered to my daughter and our family, causing her to live in fear and ultimately resulting in Aisha's murder at your hands. Lance Mason, Aisha was our only child, and because of your aggression, uncooperative, nonconformist attitudes and outcomes, as well as your inability to take responsibility for your actions, our daughter is dead by your hands. You have never conformed to psychiatric treatment or evaluation. Your behavior has included mental outrage and aggressiveness, most probably beginning at a very early age. Your ideas about life with your mate was to control and dictate. If Aisha conformed to you, everything was fine. If she did not, you would go crazy, yelling and screaming and calling her names. You have gotten away with this behavior all of your life. Your parents and relatives all looked in the other direction because you could do no wrong. You were never fit to be anyone's husband because you had so many insecurities. You went to pre-marriage counseling sessions and you ignored their advice. A loving relationship should not be monitored or controlled. When Aisha had enough of your verbal abuse, love of guns, and violent behavior, she was determined it was time for her and the children to leave. The idea that you brought weapons and hand grenades into the home to assure control of your wife, along with your two precious daughters, became unfathomable for them, but not you. You claimed that you wanted to be the protector for your children. Instead, you put fear in their hearts and souls with your behavior. You wanted to smother them with your insane ideas of what a father should be. You continued to persecute our daughter during your separation and even after your divorce by demanding that your children be transported to Baskin and Robbins every evening so that you could kiss them goodnight. If you truly loved your children, you would have never have subjected them to the mental abuse you thrust upon my late daughter and their mother. You're a monster, and you believe that your behavior was accepted and allowed. In 2014, if you really loved your children, how could you repeatedly violate their trust in you by brutally beating their mother the very first time in their presence and treating it like it was nothing, saying that their mother drove you to it? The second time, you premeditated her murder, and you planned it as soon as she dropped off the children, so that they became witnesses to your horror in 2018. You're a vicious liar with no remorse other than the fact that you ruined your own career. What a monster you are. My husband has been in failing health ever since. He is in a nursing facility, and I, the mother of my precious late child, have had to try to piece together what is left of our lives, as well as the lives of my grandchildren and their beloved Aunt Stacy and Uncle Mike, their new guardians. Ever and I believe that the courts gave you too many privileges. After you beat my daughter for the first time, you made unrealistic demands of her based on your supposed love of your children by her. You got out of jail in 8 months, and then you didn't value or appreciate your diminished role. We offer you the same lack of mercy that you offered our daughter and your children. None. Nothing can bring Aisha back, so we pray that life is worth legislation that will support improved outcomes for those haunted by the horrors of domestic violence and who are preyed upon by their spouses or ex-spouses. We ask that the courts render a sentence of life in prison to you without the possibility of parole. I personally have nothing more to share because nothing will ever bring back our daughter. This is our life sentence, and nothing can ever change that outcome.
Judge, also in the courtroom here today is Officer Flint, who is a named victim in the case, and he also has prepared, he's sitting here to my right in the back right here, and he has prepared a letter for me to read to you and to inform you of how this has affected his life. I was asked to appear or write a letter to present before this court as to how the actions of Lance Mason have affected my life. I chose to write a letter and have someone read it to you to avoid becoming emotional and not being able to effectively communicate the impact of his actions. I do feel somewhat embarrassed talking about how this has impacted me when the life of Miss Fraser was taken so tragically. I think of her and her family often, and they will always be in my thoughts and prayers. I often find myself drifting back in thought to that November morning that can be triggered by a smell, a noise, a memory, or simply seeing or talking to an officer that was there that tragic day. My shift mates and I were enjoying an unusually long roll call. Someone brought in coffee and donuts. I know it sounds a bit stereotypical, but that does not usually happen. At about 9:30, I can remember the voice of the dispatcher coming across the radio. The dispatcher sounded troubled, and then the description and nature of the call was provided. My fellow officers and I ran up the stairs and out the doors to respond. I arrived on scene and parked my unit. I exited my unit and stopped to reach for a tool. I had my right leg outside the unit standing or planted on the roadway. My left leg was propped up near the driver's seat. The next thing I remember was being struck very forcefully from behind and beneath, and my breath was taken away. I recall extreme pain and then trying to get to my feet and catch my breath. I somehow stood up and turned to see a black sports vehicle rolling backwards away from my cruiser. The airbags had deployed. The front end was now smashed and smoking from the impact of hitting my cruiser, and I could see a man behind the wheel in the driver's seat. I recall a shiftmate yelling that the man in the car was the suspect. As I stumbled out between the two vehicles, I remember pausing for a moment to examine my injuries. My legs were in excruciating pain, and I thought perhaps broken or severely cut. I did have a laceration, but nothing that looked extreme. I struggled down the street trying to make my way to the staging ambulance. I remember glancing back at my unit amidst all the chaos and realizing how fortunate I was to live. I spent 3 days in the hospital in extreme pain due to the injury sustained from being hit and crushed by the auto Lance Mason struck me with. The doctors were worried about compartment syndrome due to the extreme swelling of my right leg, ankle, and foot. After several weeks of unsuccessful physical therapy, then surgery to repair a damaged tendon, and now more physical therapy, I am reminded of that November day. Each morning I awake to start my day. I struggle to climb the stairs from my bedroom to the main living area of my home. My back, knees, and feet are filled with aches, pains, spasms, tingling, numbness, and cramps. I have limited mobility performing many functions throughout my daily routine. I cannot sit or stand too long without experiencing pain in some part of my body. I cannot drive any amount of distance without discomfort. Going up and down stairs is one of the hardest things I deal with on a day-to-day basis. Walking at times can be challenging, especially if faced with long distances, inclines or declines, or even uneven ground. Jogging or running at this point is very difficult and painful. Some days are better than others, and I pray with physical therapy and time, I will be able to perform some of these functions somewhat normally again. My children ask me when I will be happy again and be able to do the things we once did. Chase them around, play tag, wrestle with them, or go for a bike, or go for a hike. The effect that this has had on my children and my family bothers me the most. I have not returned to work and worry if I will still be able to perform the physical functions that being a police officer require. Being a police officer, even in today's environment and atmosphere, is one of the most rewarding jobs that I could ever imagine having. There is a sense of honor and pride and integrity that comes with wearing the badge, serving people and helping those in their worst times. There is no greater feeling than knowing a difference or impact was made in someone's life, directly or indirectly, because of the actions you made. Judge, I find myself quite often drifting back in thought to that morning and reliving the incident several times throughout the day. This can be triggered by a noise or a smell or talking to a fellow officer that was there that day. Judge Haas, the principles and purposes of sentencing are to punish an offender and to protect the public. The state of Ohio has provided you documentation. We've provided you a sentencing memorandum that we would like you to go through. I have provided you a letter from Takesha Ogletree, who is the mother of the 12-year-old little girl that witnessed that incident on November 17, 2018, and other various documentations that have been provided to you from the state and from the defense. I'd like you to take all of that into consideration. While the final chapter to Lance Mason's barbaric actions on November 17, 2018 will conclude today with your sentencing, the after effects will live on in numerous lives that he has affected with his selfishness, his total disregard for human life, and his manipulative behaviors. November 17, 2018 will forever be the day that Lance Mason killed Aisha Fraser, the mother of his daughters and his partner in life. He lied in wait for her to drop off a 9-year-old child to go to a lesson. Once they rang the doorbell, he appeared. He began to punch and stab her immediately upon seeing her through a screen door. When he was done, the 911 call that the sister is calling for help, you hear the little girl saying, "Where's mommy? What did you do to mommy?" And he answers, "She's dead." November 17th, 2018 has left injuries and scars on the life of Patrolman Flint. And he doesn't know if he will ever be able to serve in a uniform again because of this defendant's actions. November 17th, 2018 has left scars and psychological harm to a 12-year-old little girl who will identify as SG because of her minor age, the next door neighbor who witnessed the brutal attack from her bedroom window. While hearing Aisha plead for her life and asking for help, telling the defendant, "Don't do this, you don't have to do this." That incident of November 17th caused to displace her and her mother of where they were living and had to find a new place. But the memories still go with them, regardless of what address they live at. November 17th, 2018, forever robbed the 6th graders of Woodbury Elementary School their beloved teacher, Aisha Fraser, where she loved to go every day and impart her knowledge to help those kids grow and develop and live. November 17th, 2018, forever changed the lives of all of her colleagues, her fellow teachers, her Delta sorority sisters, and her friends and acquaintances that may have just known her from the grocery store or the bank. They knew that she had an infectious smile, a happy, caring demeanor, and a compassionate and thoughtful heart. November 17th, 2018, Your Honor, forever changed the life of Millicent and Edward Fraser, when their only child was brutally murdered by a man that they had taken in and treated him like a son. November 17th, 2018, forever changed and altered the lives of two sweet young girls who loved their father. And there's no question that they loved their father. They will no longer be able to feel the warmth of their mother's hug. They will not have their tears wiped away when they skin their knees or fall off a bike. They won't have their mother or father there when they make their decisions to go to college and what career path to choose and what spouse to marry. He took that away from them, Your Honor. And Aisha Fraser, as has been described to you in this courtroom, endured not one incident from this man, but two. And I did not know Mrs. Fraser. I knew of her. And what I can tell you, Judge, was I read a victim impact that she provided after her first incident. And it read, Lance Mason needs intensive psychiatric counseling, along with a diagnosis and a long-term treatment plan, so that he can be the loving father that his daughters need him to be. I believe that a long-term incarceration and a felony conviction are inconsistent with the goals which I desire for Lance and for my children. That's who she was, even though her face was brutally harmed in front of her children. She still had a forgiving heart, and she carried that forgiving heart to the time of his judicial release, to give him an opportunity to be a man to his children. But he was so clouded by his own self-absorbed worth that he could not tolerate anybody, let alone a woman, telling him what he needed to do. She tried to give him guidance and support because the primary care and concern were her daughters. And as much as he wants to say he loves his daughters, which I'm sure he does, the moment he laid hands on her, he forgot about his daughters. He forgot that he loved his daughters. He forgot that he had ailing in-laws. He forgot that that was the same woman that had sympathy for him and empathy after he battered her. And the thanks she got was to pay with her own life. And she did that on November 17th, 2018. The principles and purposes of sentencing, the recidivism rate here, Your Honor, 4 years. It took him 4 years. Whether he got out in 9 months on a judicial release or he would have served his 4-year sentence, his goal was to kill Aisha Fraser. And the fact of the matter is, she was a forgiving soul. Every element in the statute that you look at, he fits into. Consecutive sentences are necessary. They're necessary to protect the public. They're necessary to protect him from himself. Because he didn't stop after the first time. He continued on where he could have. There are folks in our society, Judge, that don't have the education that he has or the pedigree that he has. And we blame them because they don't have the education. He doesn't have an excuse. He had no excuse, none whatsoever. So when you impart the sentence has to be loud and clear to this community, that whether you're somebody who lives on 30th and Superior, or somebody who lives in Shaker Heights and has a law degree from the University of Michigan, that we are going to treat you the same way. We are not going to treat anybody any differently. And though the state appreciates that he pled guilty, the state too heard the same words, and I echo those same words that we heard that Mr. Scanlon said to you. It wasn't, I want to protect my daughters from testifying. I don't want my daughters to testify against me. Still, a person who wants to be in control. You have the control, Your Honor. I know that you will impart and be fair in this case, and I thank you for your time.
Remind you to keep the courtroom decorum, please. Defense?
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Mason, the rest of the court, Your Honor.
You may. Thank you, Your Honor.
I can't articulate how sorry I am about all the pain that I caused. And I'm aware of it. Aisha was a beautiful person, and the world certainly is a better place with her in it. Also want to apologize and ask forgiveness to Mr. Flint's family and the Shaker Heights Police Department. It's a community that I grew up in, I served, and a community that I love. I'm not making any excuses. I know what I've done is indefensible. I accept full responsibility for it. I'm ashamed. I know it's a betrayal of my faith and my belief. And I failed my daughters. Every day I live, I know that my daughters will love about their mother and their father, and that tears me apart. I love those girls more than I love my life. I adore them. What people are saying, I said, when Aisha and I separated in March, I didn't know why we separated. And the next day, she came back. I didn't know where the kids were. I was panicking. And the next day, she came back to help me with something at the house. So I did not know why she left, but she had indicated that she got her apartment and she took the girls. And from that day forward, I became a different man. And I'll go briefly into that because I don't want to reveal all the stuff because it's personal. But after that, she and I went to counseling together, attended counseling together, and we began to try to reconcile. We attended church together. We went on dates with the family together. We went on dates ourselves. We resumed marital relations. As a matter of fact, we only had one vehicle, so she would pick me up from work, from the rapid. She took me to get my CCW license renewed, so I don't think she was afraid of me, as people say, or that I was this controlling monster. That was not the case. We were reconciling. And then my aunt died, the last of my mom's siblings. And prior to that, Aisha and I took care of my parents. They moved into our house. My mom, in 3 years, my mom died. My dad died within 2 years, and then my mentor, who I love, died. So within 3 years, I experienced both deaths. My sister, who was a medical doctor, is out on disability and has not worked in 10 years. And Audrey, who is beautiful and smart, but she was born with Down syndrome and autism. I thought my sister was going to commit suicide. I was her only support. And so I went to this funeral, and I wasn't even going to pick up Aisha because what we would do is sometimes she would give me the vehicle, and I was just going to go to the funeral and come back. But she was being supportive and went with me with this funeral. And the house had flooded. I paid an extraordinary amount of money to get the repairs taken care of, but then it flooded again during a rainstorm, and it was rat infested. I think 11 rats were removed from the house. And that is the context of the first assault. We came home from church. We were arguing. But we were together all the time. We were dating. We were having marital relations, and I took regular girls under my protection. And that's when I saw her, when she wouldn't bring the girls under my protection. Because the reality is, I found out, I don't know if I was 30, 40, what age, but that a close family relative of mine had been raped when she was 4 years old, until she was 13 years old. And she was raped by my adopted brother. And I didn't know that, and I didn't even believe it at first. And then subsequently, she was raped by her first cousin. And it tore me apart. It created a fear in me that maybe it's paranoia, but it seemed like when I was on the bench, when I was a prosecutor, was a defense lawyer, I saw sexual abuse. I saw it as something that never could be resolved because the person who was raping my family is disabled, has chronic illness, is suicidal. I saw on a daily basis, when living with her, she can't sleep, she'll stay for 3 days without sleep. So I looked at sexual abuse as something that was impossible to overcome. So after I had it, saw Aisha, I went to a psychiatrist and treated. I went to a psychologist. The psychologist told me his daughter was sexually abused. I went to a social worker. I treated with him until I went to prison. The social worker says when people come in their problems, the first thing she thinks is sexual abuse. So I treated, I took it seriously. I went to as many counseling sessions as I could. When I was judicially released, I went to counseling for the same thing. The records aren't with you, but if you had the records, it would talk about this, I guess it's obsession, to protect my daughters from what happened to someone I love very dearly. So people might say I was trying to control Aisha, and I was trying to protect my daughters. They said, what I teach my daughters? I taught my daughters that they're beautiful, talented, smart, and unstoppable, that God loves them, and that God is love. I made stickers that they placed in their bedroom, and temporary tattoos that they put on their arm. I told my daughters repeatedly, in front of strangers, that when I saw their mother, I was wrong. And I reminded them over and over because because I knew it was wrong, but I didn't want them to grow up and think that was acceptable from a man. I endured almost 3 years of supervised visitation by 8 different supervisors who wrote glowing recommendations. I became a different man. My daughters, we made ice cream and lollipops. We made headbands. We made, worked on spelling, writing. We read books together. We made perfume in glitter. We made clothing for their dolls out of paper towels and glitter. We prayed for their mother, for her grandparents. I told in front of strangers how I was wrong for hitting their mother. It was something I was not going to let get out of their memory because I didn't want them to grow up thinking it was okay. And through these three years, I had no money. The pay for the supervisor was $105 per visit. I was seeing my daughters 3 hours a week for years. And all the reports were good. There were no interventions based on my behavior with my daughters. I adored them. I would have died for them. But I was terrified something would happen to them. If you look at my emails, Aisha and our family with her, I expressed my concerns not for romantic interests, but just males being around the girls. Over and over again, I did. I said, hey, look, if you want this guy to be in the girls' lives, let me be with him also while they're with him, just because I'm just concerned that he'd be harmed. But I recognize I failed our daughters. And there's nothing I can do, our daughters. And what they say about, I didn't want my daughter to go to the trauma to testify. But she'd have to live the rest of her life having testified against that I was concerned about my guilt or not. We didn't even think about mounting defense. It was always going to be a plea. I recognize that I left him alone and unprotected. The very thing I was trying to do was impossible for me to do. When I was in prison, I had 3 goals. One was to write letters to my daughter, because one thing I learned that when I was leaving the house, putting all our belongings in, the belongings, the sofa and the TV didn't matter to me. What mattered was I had a box in my basement with letters from people that said I had a positive impact on my life. And I found a card from my mom who said I was a friend and her confidant. And I decided that even though I was separated from my girls, it would give me an opportunity to write letters to them. And I believe that was my life's work, the most important thing I've done in life, because I talked to them about resilience and forgiveness. I talked to them about when you're deprived of things that you still have a power to decide what kind of person you're going to be. And I try to be kind and caring and loving. I pray for Aisha every day. I pray for her family. I'm not asking for mercy. But what they said is just not true. It's not the way I've lived my life. I didn't treat my daughter to be opposition. I taught her to love her mother and love her father. I accept full responsibility for the horrific act I've done. I'm ashamed of it. And, I'm prepared to be sentenced.
Senator, put it safe.
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Some preliminary matters. First of all, as agreed by the council, count 1 aggravated murder will merge with count 2 murder and count 3 felonious assault of Aisha Fraser. Therefore, the court will be imposing sentences for count 1 aggravated murder, count 4 violating a protection order, count 5 grand theft of the SUV, count 6 felonious assault of Officer Adam Flynn. There will be post-release control possible. There will be a mandatory period of post-release supervision by the adult parole authority for 5 years in the event the defendant should ever be released from prison. He is informed that any violation of those conditions could subject him to further periods of imprisonment and other sanctions provided by the statute. You have signed the violation violent offender information notice, and I've already covered that that's your signature. I'm going to sign the date of today's date that you've been informed of those responsibilities. And I believe, counsel, we already covered this, but again, for the record, you understand your responsibilities under that statute. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And that will be accepted in appropriate authorities. The court costs while you're incarcerated will be waived. Jail time credit calculated by the state as of today's date is 300 days. In this case, the court does find that consecutive sentences are necessary and appropriate to punish you. Consecutive sentences are not disproportionate to the seriousness of your conduct and are not disproportionate to the danger you pose to the public. You committed the felonious assault on a police officer as a separate course of conduct, and the harm committed to the victims was so great that no single prison sentence adequately reflects the seriousness of your conduct. Furthermore, your criminal history demonstrates that consecutive sentences are necessary to protect the public from any future crime. Dealing with the last count first, Officer Flint. Felonious assault, a felony of the first degree because he is a police officer. This highlights the danger that police face every day for just doing his job, serving the public. The sentence the court finds is 5 years consecutive to all other time imposed. Count 4, violating the protection order, court imposes a sentence of 24 months, which will be served concurrent to all other time imposed. Count 5, grand theft, the court imposes a sentence of 12 months, which will be served concurrent to all other time imposed. That brings me to the aggravated murder of Aisha Fraser. I cannot add to the words you have already heard and have no doubt internalized over your period of incarceration. The children, while I respect your decision to spare them the trauma of a trial, it was too little and way too late. Where was that consideration when you subjected them to the vicious attack on their mother? We can only pray for them to have the strength to cope with and to overcome the trauma of that day. For Aisha, the loss of life, the loss of opportunity to nurture her children, and so many other people in her life, and the children she was teaching through her profession. You deserve the maximum sentence the state requests. However, if there is something, anything positive to transpire out of this in the future, is for you to make a difference while you are in prison, to help others with your background, to demonstrate a servant attitude. It is for that reason only that after you serve the 5 years for Officer Flint and 30 years for the aggravated murder as part of a life sentence, you will then be eligible to appear before a parole board. I am hopeful that during that period of time, with that glimmer of hope, that you will take advantage of that and you will, in fact, make a difference in the lives of those people around you. In summary, the court sentences you to life in prison with parole eligibility in 30 years and 5 years for the felonious assault of Officer Flint. Those sentences will be served consecutively, and as indicated with regard to the felonious assault, should you be released from prison, there will be a mandatory period of incarceration of 5 years, and any violations of that supervision will lead periods of re-imprisonment. Anything further to come before you?
Nothing, Your Honor.
No, Judge. No, thank you, Your Honor. Yeah, we all understand.
All right.
Yeah, so
Dan DeRosa with 19 News. I'm seeing the shock as I'm watching right along with you. The judge handing down a life sentence.
So yeah,
at 35 years for the former judge who brutally stabbed his ex-wife, who he had a.
Yeah, so there's that, and all of the nonsense that he was, throwing out there. Like nobody's buying it. You are who you are, and that's that. There's nothing else to say, but you are who you are. They gave you a chance after what you did the first time, and you turned around and did worse. So, I hope that when he goes up for parole, that he's not granted parole. I don't think he deserves to be let out on the street anymore. He had an opportunity to get out of jail and turn his life around. You already had lost everything, like you being a judge and all this other kind of stuff. And remember, I told y'all to listen when he started talking, and he's just rambling about stuff that doesn't make sense. Nobody cares about your house being over. What do you say? If something happened where something was flooded and he had to hire somebody to get rid of 11 rats. Sir, what are you talking about? We don't care about this at this hearing. You talking about the rats that came in because of whatever. We're talking about a whole woman's life here that you snuffed out because of your selfishness. We're talking about your daughters, who one is mentally disabled. She has Down syndrome. She's a beautiful girl. I saw the pictures of her. They're both beautiful little girls. But, you know, you've damaged their lives. Their lives. You did that. Claiming that you wanted to protect them. And so now your sister was, you know, raped. Nobody's laughing at that. Nobody's trying to say that that didn't happen. And so she's a doctor, but she's been out of work for 10 years because she was raped. And, you know, everybody handles things differently. So I'm not even going to, you know, say anything about that. And, you know, it could be she's never able to come back from what she was, but could it also be that she was there when you did this whole unaliving of your wife? I'm wondering what other, you know, things that you have done to your sister. God, knock it off. If it's anyone here to blame, it is the ex-judge Lance Mason. And I hope that when he is eligible to go in front of the parole board, I hope and pray that there are still family members, you know, the godmother and godfather of the children who now, you know, are their parent. And I'm hoping that they're still around to go to these parole hearings so that they don't let him out. Nobody cares you're behind the wall helping inmates with their cases. Nobody cares about that. But you were given a chance and you didn't have enough respect or enough wherewithal to do what you needed to do to be okay, so you remain on the outside. And a lot of people in relationships, you don't get, you know, a spouse that, you know, is willing to still fight for you, and you guys are not still together, but she was fighting for you for the sake of her children. And it shows what type of stand-up person that she was, because when you assaulted her, she didn't show up to the hearing, but she wrote a letter on your behalf, hoping that you would go and get some help and get it together. So he probably ran his courtroom just the same way he was running his house. I don't have any sympathy, empathy, or anything for him. And jail is not a nice place. It's a horrible place. So now you don't, the roles are reversed. You don't get to tell people how much time they need to do. Oh, you need to go to this program. You need to be signed up for this. This is part of your sentence. Now you get to move, and you get to be who you are or do whatever it is that you would like to do only when somebody is telling you in the shower, telling you when and when you cannot use the phone, telling you can't write today. Okay, you know what? I think you are you know, may unalive yourself. Give me all of your pens and pencils. You can only have those supervised. All this stuff goes on in jail. You're not writing a letter today. Oh, no, you can't call. You can't use the phone now, but maybe around 5 o'clock, I'll let you use the phone. And it's only 12 o'clock right now, but I'm not going to let you use the phone to 5 o'clock. So you get, for the rest of your life, you get to have someone chaperone whatever, look after you and tell you when and where you can do whatever it is that you want to do. When and where you can eat. When and where you can't eat. When you can go outside to get a little fresh air for rec time. I'm pretty sure that you're in protective custody, so that's even worse. People that are in protective custody, it's worse for them. Because 9 times out of 10, are they going to just take officers away from, you know, many inmates to deal with you on a certain level? No, they're not. So in order to ensure that inmates that are in protective custody, that they are safe, listen, we got a jail to run. So you're locked in your room for 23 hours a day. You may get out an hour. Some jails is 23 and a half hours. You may get out to take a shower, because you can use the phone now that they have laptops that are into play and text messaging for inmates and all that stuff. You can do that in your room. providing they haven't took the laptop from you because they may think that you may try to take something off the laptop or the iPad. I think it's iPads. That's what it is, tablets, to harm yourself, because anything in jail can turn into a weapon. That's just the mentality they have to protect their officers. So you get to spend the rest of your life, because I don't think you're going to make it out of there. You was old when you went in there. You got 30 years plus 5, and you have to serve them consecutively. So that means when you get to 30 years, you're eligible for parole. But wait, there's more. You got to serve 5 more years before you're eligible for parole. That's 35 years. And just because you serve 35 years doesn't necessarily mean that you are getting out of jail. Like I said, someone needs to be at every parole hearing that he's going to have so that he stays where he is. This the life you chose, brother? Deal with it. But nobody deserves to be abused, assaulted, unalived. No one deserves to walk around fearful, looking over their shoulders, scared to be who they are because of people that choose to abuse other people. So in the description, I'm going to add information for the National Domestic Violence Hotline. Anybody experiencing any type of abuse and you want to get away, I'm going to put the number down in the description, as well as you can text a code to the National Domestic Violence Hotline and take it from there. You can get help. So I'm big on that. I'm big on DV. I'm a survivor myself, but it was just one time. Somebody put their hand on me one time, and my mama didn't teach me to stay in those type of situations. So one time I was out. A lot of women and men don't have that strong willpower like I had. And that's only because it was instilled in me, and I grew up that way. My mother always taught me that no, that's not what's going to happen. So, it happened once. I was out, but I can't even imagine from the one time that it happened to me. I can't even imagine, having that done, being abused over and over and over again. Some women, it takes them a long time to leave. They'll walk away, but keep coming back. And that's only because there is nothing in place that really protects women or men that are abused. Having a piece of paper is just not it. A lot of these men that abuse or women that abuse, they're not thinking about no paper that you got to stay this amount of feet away from people. They're not thinking about, they don't care about that. They don't even care about the law. Some of them don't care when the cops show up. They don't care about that. So, and I'm not even sure if there's something else that they can put in place to, protect people. But the one thing where they can start, and I'm this is something that I would like to, but I just don't know where to start. I've thought about it, so when you purchase a home, the information is public knowledge. Your addresses are on different websites. Basically, people can just search, and it's not hard to find out what your address is. So imagine what that's like to people that are abuse other people. I think that that's something that needs to be changed. And if like law enforcement or something needs to know who's living in these places, then that's something that they should have access to. But for the world to have access to your address because you decided that you wanted better for your life. You want to own a home instead of renting. Um, I think that that's one of the biggest things that need to be changed for these types of reasons. What sense does it make to give somebody a restraining order when all you have to do is go and type people's name in to find out where they live, what properties they own? I don't think that that's public. That should be public information. It shouldn't. Everybody should not be able to do that. It's defeating the purpose of even having these cases, and not just for these cases, just in general. You know, you got crazy people out there. We watch it every day on YouTube. These people are doxing people on YouTube for no apparent reason. I don't agree with doxing. And I don't think that it's funny to put people's lives in danger like that. And when they dox people on YouTube, you know, you are talking to a whole bunch of people virtually. And for, you know, when they get up here and dox people and put their information up here and doing all sorts of crazy stuff, sending cops to people's houses, doing fake wellness checks and stuff like that, all that stuff needs to stop. It needs to stop. And if the people that are doxing don't get it, YouTube, they should not be able to have a platform on YouTube. It's as simple as that. People have children that can be affected. Like, and you never know which person on the internet is crazy enough to just show up at your house just because somebody else doxed you for a different reason, but they got your information. So now here they come, they're at your house, at your front door. That definitely needs to change. I don't know who I need to talk to, but that definitely needs to change. If you care about people being abused, women or men, that's one of the things that you need to change. These people should not be able to go to these sites and put your information in and your information pops up. So yeah, I have had my stuff redacted from a couple of websites. Yeah, I am a licensed real estate agent as well. So yeah, I went to a platform that I use to do research on properties. Like sometimes I may use it to do comps and things like that. And when I first learned about it, I was like, wait a minute, I'm bothered by this. You got my information on here? Okay. So yeah, I was able to send them documents and stuff like that, and ask them to redact my information. I said that, you're putting me in harm's way, in danger. You can still have the property address up there without the person who owns it name next to it. So yeah, my address is still there, but my name, when it says who's the owner, my name doesn't come up. It just says redacted. So yeah, you can still use the system to do comps and everything. If somebody's buying a home in the area that I live in and the same bedrooms, whatever, you could still pull that information without knowing that I own the home. It's none of your business that I own this home. So yeah, I mean, so that's just, one of the things, and if anybody's listening and, you own a home, your own homeowner, and, some sites you've been doing, your information is on there. Yeah, you can write them and ask them to redact your information. Like, just redact the fact that you own it. You can leave it up there. Okay, use the address all you want. Just don't put my name next to it. Hey, April O'Neill's baby daddy. Yeah, we just finished. And I was just, just saying, about, things that need to change and things that I would like to look into. I don't know, like where to start to put this out there. But yeah, they need to stop like with this, all this it's public knowledge where you live. No, it shouldn't be public knowledge. It shouldn't be. Okay, somebody sold a house. I put my house on the market. Okay, yeah, well, this address just sold. It doesn't need to be like she sold a house here, and now you can put my information in and out and bought a house over there. It shouldn't be that way. But that's what we're dealing with, and they don't seem to care. But the ex judge Lance Mason, he's where he should be, and I'm gonna be checking because this was a what 2018, so he has to do 35 years before they even consider him for parole. So I just thought that that was an interesting case that I wanted to look back on. Not sure if anybody else, had heard about that, because like I said, it wasn't like it was a real trial. And really, I want to say it was just people that are news stations that are in the area where it happened, Shaker Heights, Ohio. More than likely, it was news there, but for us, unless law and crime gets involved. Well, and law and crime does have something on their channel about this case, but it was, like I said, a quick one. So it's sad and triggering, but it happened. He's a whole judge. You see how he was? Did you see the picture that I put the picture up on the thumbnail on purpose? Because in the middle, that was him, even when this happened. And he just went from that to what we saw in the last, the video that we saw also, the arrest video for the unalive. And yeah, he had shrunk down, and what a way to go out. Like, I didn't see it on that video, but when they caught him in that hallway, and when they first brought him downstairs and he was outside, when you were able to see them when they was out of the dark hallway, his pants had fell down, and they was pulling his pants up, trying to like you're a whole judge, and then now you're all over the world, all over social media with your pants falling down. It doesn't, like, the whole video of him. I don't know. I guess what keeps going through my mind is, here you have this man that was sitting on a bench handing out sentences. And not only do you, first you assault somebody, you get out, now you got a charge for, you done stole the truck, you done injured a police officer, then you took them on a foot chase. Like, what are we doing? What a fall from grace. And when he hit bottom, he hit hard. Well, anyway, y'all, I thank y'all for you. I thank you all for coming and watching this crazy case with me. To the people over on Twitter, thank you. And the people here on YouTube that I'm able to see in the chat, thank you. And April O'Neill's baby daddy, I appreciate you. Appreciate you for coming back. Laugh always, have fun. I appreciate you for being here as well, and for the people that are in the bushes. I appreciate you as well. So I want you to all enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening before the madness starts tomorrow. Whether you have to go to work or not. And then we also have the YSL trial that should be resuming tomorrow. I want to say tomorrow, Sarah Boone's getting sentenced December 2nd. Yes, she is. I might have to just be at work, but stream that live, because this heifer is crazy. She's getting sentenced tomorrow, and then on December 3rd, Judge Whitaker is having a hearing for the second half of the YSL members that are going on trial. So we have a very busy week coming up. Hopefully, so the jury is still in deliberations. Hopefully, we'll have a non-guilty verdict that's going to be come out tomorrow. April, and so for all things YSL, for me, I'm over at Cat Not Williams. So just keep your eyes open for that. There's a lot going on this week as it relates to true crime. And I'm just hoping that the jurors aren't watching like they're really off social media, because if you go on Twitter, as soon as you go on Twitter, you see some things going on right now that's not, I don't know how to feel about it. I like Doug Weinstein. I like Shard. I like all of the attorneys that were over there on that side, but there seems to be something controversial going on right now with another attorney that works with Weinstein. I don't think that we should let that take us off our focus. He's dealing with whatever he's dealing with on Twitter, and if he doesn't want to deal with it, he can always just close his account. But I don't think that should weigh. That should reflect on Yak Gotti in any way. And I don't think it's a time for us to be like divided. He said what he said. He typed what he typed. It's more than one thing. I'm hoping that the account is fake, but if not, that still should not have any bearing on the verdict, or it does not have anything to do with Yak Gotti, because you haven't seen that April O'Neil's baby daddy. So it's not Doug. It's not Doug. It's the other attorney that's on his team. If you go over to Twitter, just put in what is his age? Jay, the other attorney that stood in. I think he did the opening statement, and he did the stood in for Doug whenever Doug couldn't be in the courtroom. He was in the courtroom at first too. So yeah, if you go over there and pull up his page, there's a lot going on, and I just saw it yesterday, and I just was like, oh wow. So it still doesn't, take away from, Yak, but somebody did mention Yak, and I'm just like, this has nothing to do with him. It has nothing to do with the case. And so it's not the time for, us to drop the ball. And even Doug Weinstein has said something about shutting down his Twitter. I don't know if they were giving him a hard time about whatever. But yeah, if you go over there, like I said, and just pull up the Doug's partner on Twitter, I'm sure you'll find all of the mess. I'm not retweeting that mess. I'm not doing any of that because I'm focused on what's important right now. And I'm wondering why now at this time, things are happening. But they so somebody, said something to Dr. Daly, and he said he saw something, but he decided he wasn't going to say anything because he wanted this to be done first. So he didn't want to bring any attention to anything negative. And not knowing whether or not it's really him that's tweeting this stuff or if it's his real page or not. But anyway, it is what it is. It should have no bearing on this trial, on deliberations, and Doug has not. I've never seen Doug write anything, on Twitter that is harmful in any way. So, still rooting for Weinstein, still rooting for Sharp, still rooting for Yak Gotti and Shannon Stillwell. Let these men come home to their families. Like I said, we all know that they committed crimes. We know that. Nobody's trying to say let them off easy, but don't charge them for unaliving people. And we can tell from being virtual jurors who did what. So that's just a problem. And the way they railroaded them, and the way they have a gang mentality. The state, there's a lot of work that needs to be done in Fulton County. Is it going to be done? I doubt it very seriously. As long as you have Fannie in office, Nothing's changing. And as long as you don't hold the state accountable, I'm talking about their whole entourage, investigators, police officers, prosecution team. If you don't hold these people accountable for all the wrong things that they've blatantly done in our face, for all of the unlawful things that they've done blatantly in our faces, is a big mistake. Because they tried this case like they are the law, they made the law, and they are above the law. And somebody needs to bring them all back down to let them know that just because you are the law, you still have people that you need to answer to. Love, in particular, she needs to be investigated. All of the cases that she ever brought to Fulton County needs to be investigated to make sure they don't have innocent people locked up. And if they do, I'm sure they will find them. They need to be released immediately. And then she needs to answer for acting as if she has a medical license. It's like she went to school to be a doctor and all of that. You didn't go to school to be a doctor. You didn't go to school to be a psychologist. You didn't go to school to be a mental health therapist or anything of the sort. But she definitely needs to answer for what she did to Shane. And that young man is unalived now because Love decided to tell his family what is going on with him health-wise and what is not. I don't understand how she even comes into a courtroom and how she lives with herself. I don't know how she sleeps at night. I don't know if she sleeps with the broom next to her, the broom that she rides on. I'm not sure. But she definitely needs to lose her bar card. She definitely does not need to be an attorney anymore. It needs to be looked into ASAP. Because who do you think you are? And if Quandarius Zachary did not get an attorney to sue them, make sure Love's name is mentioned independently, he needs to. The sad thing about that is Whitaker thought that she was working with people that were honest and truthful. And she signed that arrest warrant blindly. And now your name is on that arrest warrant. Think about how many years this has been going on. Exactly, April O'Neil's baby daddy. Exactly. How long has this been going on? Probably for forever. And I forgot, was we on Flesh of the Gods where they were going to see how many cases that she lost? I believe we were. I believe that's what we were. And somebody said they were going to go through her cases to see how many cases she lost. I saw something that says she has 100% conviction rate. But it's not verified. So, we'll have to see. But if they were running all their cases up till now, the way they've done this YSL trial, and they are able to get away with it with somebody like a Glanville, may be true. But she doesn't need to practice law anymore. She doesn't. How do you practice law and you have a judge has to send you in the middle of trial to take a course on Brady? What? Isn't she the lead Okay. All right. Well, I digress. Anywho, so I'm going to leave you all. I'm sure somebody else is going live on today. She does, from what I heard. 100% 100% conviction rate, April, O'Neill's baby daddy. Listen, Mr. O'Neill's baby daddy. Now you clown me. I saw it the other day. Because it's like Survivor always saying that I'm a woman. I said, oh yeah, I think I was saying her and she. Why you got that name? Okay, so then I read. I said, oh, April O'Neill's baby daddy. I got it now. I got it now. You ain't had to call me out like that. All you had to do was correct me. I ain't know. Listen, you just read the April and then everything else goes out the window. But anywho, yeah. So 100% conviction rate. We know that's not. She didn't get that honest. We know she didn't get that honest. Don't laugh. Don't do that. We know she didn't get that honest. So they need to go through all of her cases. They absolutely should. But no, they're gearing up for a whole nother RICO case. Not even after YSL, they already have in line another RICO case. It's with 3 to 4 other counties. I don't know why nobody didn't see that press conference. I saw it. It wasn't where she did the interview where she was sitting down. She was actually standing behind the podium, and she had the other prosecutors and stuff from the other counties that she's joined forces with. They were there also. And so the thing, what she said was, like, these gangs have formed in these other counties. However, they're coming into Fulton County to commit crimes. So that's how she's on this whole thing now. And they're coming with this whole RICO. I guess we got to wait and see what it is. But it's coming. It's coming. And Viverito, she be sitting in the bushes with her binoculars. Now, listen, Future. I don't know if you know Viverito personally. But if not, she out here singing your whole government on a witness stand. And nobody even asked her that. They just asked you if you knew Future. You had to come out with this whole government. And we was like, wait a minute, who's she talking about? Child. No, she didn't. Please, endless charges count to. Yeah, all of that counts. I've been telling people for the longest, when you get arrested and they like, oh, you was arrested with narcotics, they give you the maximum of what you could be facing first. That's how they get you. Your first time offender, you get arrested. Say it's with drugs. Oh, the sentencing guidelines for this charge is 3 to 6 years. That's what they do. They always come with the 3 to 6 years. But people that are first offenders, they normally give them some type of lenient sentence, or plea deal. So that's what they do. You could be facing 3 to 6 years, but if you accept a plea, we're just going to give you a year's probation. You just have to make sure you report to your probation officer, pay your fines, and finish with probation. That's what they tell you. It's still a win for them. And this all ties in and plays into politics. It's still a win for them. So, I try to tell people that they're like, oh, well, they got off because they got like what? Slap on the hand and they got 6 month probation. It's still a conviction for the state. Doesn't make a difference where you are, where you live, Fulton County, in New Jersey, anywhere you're from. That's why they have plea deals, for that reason. Do you actually think that they have these plea deals because they care about the fact that you've never committed a crime before? So now here's a plea deal? No, that's why they offered these plea deals in a YSL trial. Because regardless to whether or not they got you on the charge that they wanted, which was a RICO, it's still a win for them. And this is why Fannie, the little, I think I saw her speak maybe about 2 times since, one time though about the sentencing with Jeffrey Williams. And she's out here boasting that, oh, he pled guilty to everything. No, he did not. You did not get that gang leader charge. You didn't even get a RICO charge with Jeffrey. The conspiracy to commit RICO, because there was a difference. I just learned. Shout out to Bruce Harvey. I just learned. Thank you, Bruce Harvey, for educating the people. So this is not even, so a RICO charge is way more harsh than a conspiracy to commit RICO. And Bruce Harvey broke that down. If you want to hear it, I don't want to jack it up. Go to 11 Alive when Bruce Harvey and Nichols took the plea deal. He did a interview, him and Miss Westmoreland, on 11 Alive, and he explained the difference between a RICO charge and a conspiracy to commit a RICO charge. And I like him, and I thank Bruce for that, because we all out here in these streets looking at these true crime videos, and I worked in law enforcement. But that wasn't where I work. I was the one in there, like, okay, yeah, we're gonna do showers from this time to this time. Yep, we're gonna lock it on in. Yeah, get out here and let's clean up the spot. That's who I was. So I didn't really go into that, but I wanted to be an attorney. When I was in high school, they're like, what do you want to be? I want to be an attorney. I changed my mind. But anything law, anything true crime, anything like that, I love it. And so I'm always watching different things. So I don't know what I'm going to be covering next. I don't know. I don't know if you guys heard of Wanda Jean. She was a lady that was mentally ill. And they did this documentary on her. She was mentally ill, and she shot her girlfriend. I mean, that's something that's interesting to me. I may go over that, but it's more like a documentary they did. She did get the death penalty, and they did carry it through. But there are some other cases that are very interesting that I think I want to go over, because a lot of times people see things and then they don't see cases, because it's a lot. It's a lot. It's very broad, and with everything that we have going on that is more recent, it's crazy. But I don't care what I have to do. I will be, even if I have to they won't bring us back for the YSL trial unless it's a verdict. But Sarah Boone, I need to be front and center, because I heard that she is going to speak. Lord, please be a muzzle. That she is supposed to speak, and we already know she's going to be saying all types of nonsense. Ma'am, you are an abuser. I cried after watching that freaking trial. You are an abuser. George was abused in the worst kind of way. And just to think, they said that, so the medical examiner said that there was no way that she put him in that suitcase and beat him with the bat after he was in the suitcase. She had to beat him with the bat before she zipped him up in that suitcase. And so to hear her and see her demonstrate how and when she claims that he was hit with the bat, you claim that he was just hit on his fingers because you were so scared. You were so scared and terrified that he had his 2 fingers in the hole and he was going to get out. You were scared about what he was going to do to you. But to see George sitting on that floor, crawled up in a fetal position outside of her bedroom door because she told him not to come inside, and then she came in the hallway and started antagonizing him, it is disgusting. And he's just sitting there like, I don't know, he's lost. He's like a little kid he's like a little kid being chastised by an adult. And then when he said, you make my brain hurt, like, cause you make me, I don't understand. I don't know what you make. It was so sad. Like it brought tears to my eyes. George was abused. Yeah, he may have done some abusing, trying to help himself. Sarah Boone also used the police department as a weapon to continuously get him locked up over and over again. And people said, why did he keep going back there? And he know that he was not supposed to be there. It just act like the roles were reversed, because the world thinks that only women get abused. No, men get abused as well. They just will not tell you. They're not quick to tell you that they're being abused. So it's just like he's an abused victim, like abused women don't leave, as soon as, they are, they start getting abused, they stay through it. You go back, and what she was doing was playing with him. Like, oh yeah, George, like, come over here and do this and that. And as soon as he get there, she called the cops. So she used the cops as a weapon. And she should be charged for that as well. But George was definitely abused. And I'm not missing her sentencing for anything. I think the judge was very nice to her. He had the patience of Job. He was nice, but he was stern. When he, what he said, this is what I said, this is what's going to happen. And he knew how to deal with Sarah. So, and all of her shenanigans in the media, because she used the media to her advantage. She would complain about the media and then use the media to her advantage. So she's done a lot to this judge. Just running her mouth without even realizing that he is the one that's going to be sentencing you. So I would not miss this for the world, because I don't know if you all know, Sarah Boone was upset because her husband stopped paying alimony, $1,000 a month, and he filed a motion to have the courts throw it out altogether. So Sarah decided she was going to write the judge that's over that case. And why should he be giving you $1,000 a month while you're in jail? What? He has custody of his son full time. But you're still harassing these judges. And it's easier. It's easier to catch a bee with honey. Not what you think, Sarah. I don't know if she thinks if I talk and sound like I'm stern in these writings, they're going to do what I say. Sarah, that's not, the whole world thinks you're a joke. You are where you belong. You're an abuser. And nobody can sway me otherwise. She's an abuser. She abused George in the worst way. Yeah. You wasn't even appearing to your child the way you were to George. Oh, I had to find something for him to do. We were coloring. We were playing hide and seek. We were playing hide and go get it. Whatever you was playing, Sarah. But you didn't bet on them finding those recordings of him in the suitcase because you thought that you erased them. I want the people in the world to know that When you put something out there in the ether, they can find it. You thinking, oh, let me go in. Nah, it don't work like that. They're gonna find it. Even Snapchat, they've even gotten hip to how to get these Snapchat records because a lot of criminals think they use Snapchat. We're going to use Snapchat because it disappears right away. Now, some people still get away with it, and some people don't. Maybe that will be my next case. It just brought me to my next case that I may do that case about the lady and the young lady and the man that were in the military, and her husband was also in the military, and she started having an affair with this guy. They made a plan in Korea to off her husband. Now you staying in your husband's family's house, and you get he's unalived. Suitcase lady. Oh, Chai Diggy, what's up, Chai Diggy in the building. No, we're gonna get out here in a minute, Chai Diggy. No, we were talking about her. We brought her into the conversation, but so what I just went over, it was a short case. It was of a judge, Lance Mason. He assaulted his wife, went to jail for it. But he did all types of damage to her, broke her face in different places. She had to get surgery and everything. And so they let him out of jail in 9 months. And what does he do? He comes home and he unalives her. So we just went over, the video was about that. I showed, when they arrested him from when he assaulted her, and then we watched the video of the sentencing for that. And then when they let him out and he unalived her, we watched that video when he got arrested that day, and then we watched the video of the sentencing for that. But yeah, we were just talking about like the lineup that's coming up for the week. So we still got YSL in the they're still in deliberations for YSL. So we have Sarah Boone, the suitcase lady, she's getting sentenced tomorrow. So yeah, I'm not going to miss that for anything. And then we have like the hearing on Tuesday, December 3rd for the second half of the YSL trial. That's on Tuesday, December 3rd. So yeah, but we were just talking, ending up the conversation about the suitcase unaliver. Yeah, about her. How she's harassing all these judges and stuff. Is she mad? She's mad. I don't know what world this lady, this is beyond delusional. I don't know what world she lives in. Because she thought that they were going to keep making her husband pay her $1,000 a month alimony. You don't have you're in jail. You don't have your child. Your husband has your child. He's the only parent that your child. He don't live with you. Why he paying you? Y'all divorced, and he was paying you $1,000 a month, and he still had the child full time because you was too busy with George talking about you need to find George something to do because he was taking all your time. Yeah, this lady is beyond delusional. But I would like to see what she is going to say when she's sentenced, because baby, she's a hot that one right there. She is a hot. She's a case. They need to do some type of study on her, because I just don't know. I don't know. And then I read somewhere, I don't know if y'all heard, they said that she be hoarding cheese in jail, and the cheese is all molded and stuff. I said, what? I knew she was a little crazy, but just the cheese, she only hoarding cheese? What? But yeah, we gonna make sure we watch her sentencing. I don't know. I want to stream it live. I gotta work in the morning. I know maybe Cat Not Williams will stream it. I don't know if Flesh of the Gods will stream it, or he does his like replays, and we all love it. So that's going on this week, and we are getting ready for that. And yeah, she ain't right. She crazy. She is crazy. She beat that man. She beat George. She was abusing George. And the cops was trying to get George to tell them that. The cops came one day and was like, George, what happened? What's going on? We're trying to help you, but you won't tell us anything. We know she called you over here because we went to your job. We called your job today. Now, they were so involved, they called the job to ask them, did Sarah call there today? I guess they got tired of coming to the house. She kept calling them, and they get there, and George would be like, she called me over here. So the one time they said, George, we spoke to your job. We know that she called you to come here. Yeah, we've been doing, a little homework, because she was calling like consistently. Oh, he's here. He's not supposed to be here. Oh, my God. And then she has a problem with touching on people, all in their faces, touching their faces. Very inappropriate. So something definitely is like not clicking in there. But tomorrow we're going to see the end of that. I'm pretty sure, positive that she's not going to be granted an appeal. So we won't have to go to this trial with her again. Just craziness without a check, and you ain't getting a check for that crazy. You should have been getting a check for the crazy. So now that you incarcerated and you mad because the bank closed down your account because your husband is not paying the alimony, your ex-husband is not paying the alimony anymore. She writing the judge, I've had this account for a long time, and because husband, this is how she writes, because husband stop paying me alimony, they closed my account. So I need you to talk to husband. That's not your husband, ma'am. And husband is telling my son things, and now my son is disrespecting me, and husband wouldn't answer the phone, which caused me to call husband 10 times. I had to wait around and call husband 10 times because he wasn't answering the phone. I said, what? I got a whole headache. It's a guy that does very good commentary on Sarah. He has all of her paperwork, all of the case filings and I don't know his name right off the top of my head, but I'm always running into his channel. He has all of and he reads her letters that she sends to the judge in her voice. It's funny as heck, though. But anyhow, so I'm about to get out of here, you guys. Please enjoy the rest of your Sunday before the week starts tomorrow. The weekend just went too fast. I don't feel like I was off for 4 days. I feel like I was off for a weekend. That's it. So I want you all to prepare yourselves for that. And then also, it would not be me if I did not tell you to make sure that you get your mammograms, fill on your boobies to make sure that you're all right. All right. And don't you dare let anybody come into your house and disturb the peace that passes all understanding. I am Survivor Steve Speaks, and I'll see you on these YouTube streets or in the next live or video upload. Thank you for coming and watching with me. Peace. Bye, Chattiggy.
Full cycle, I just might though just like a Michael. Mama gone now, I'm thinking death is now we entitled. And it was me versus me, them battles had to fight through. And when you way in the dark, them demons try to fight you. But you can't let them when you gotta see the damn light. Diabetes came from nowhere, messed up whole life. That's what I used to think, my mama helped me out. I got one there and just gotta make proud, don't count me out. Let's get it started, rest in peace my mama, I don't wanna talk. Fresh fit, who that little nigga, fresh the way he walk. New drip, I'm that one dude creating all the sauce. News flip, you that one do the worker, not a boss. It's safe to say that after all this, I'm standing tall. safe to say that after all this, I'm still gon' ball. It's safe to say that after